Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this weekly Ag Weather Update brought to you by the Farm Credit Associations of North Carolina. We're going to start off today talking about drought, and this is the latest drought monitor that was released last Thursday. Now, we've seen a reduction of about 30% of the total area in the United States that has been in drought from last December to this February. And of course, we've seen that really being reduced across parts of North Carolina. But you can see by the map that drought is still firmly anchored from Texas into Oklahoma, into parts of Kansas, and then through the northern part of the plains as well. Now, we have to take this into consideration moving forward because the subsurface soil moisture deficits, should they survive into spring and last into early summer, will have a major impact on the summer weather patterns. So that's why we have to keep a close eye on this right now. So keep this snapshot in the back of your mind, and let's go from here over to the latest subsurface soil moisture map. Now, this is data from NASA. It's the top 40 inches or 100 centimeters, and we're looking at the moisture percentile in that range. And so what this is really showing is that throughout parts of the Ohio River Valley, the mid and upper Mississippi Valley, and then getting here into the northern and central plains, those deficits are still quite large. And again, this is all remnants of the drought from last fall. Now, we're talking about this because these are the deficits across a lot of corn, soybean, wheat growing areas that we need to think about in terms of what the potential production is going to be this upcoming year, of course, in competition with what we grow here in the Carolinas and Virginia. So I just look at this and want to let you know that there's a lot of folks, even though there's a bunch of snow on the ground here and there's going to be some more rain coming through this area, a full recharge of the subsurface soil moisture deficits, that's going to have to come from a lot of precipitation this upcoming spring in order to make that happen. All right, so let's keep that in the back of our minds. Now, I'm sure you heard and watched the news this weekend. There was a deep low that went into California. And the map we're now looking at shows total snowfall through Sunday morning. And again, there were places down here in Southern California that picked up snow that had, honestly, many people that live there had never even seen the snow. They've seen it in the mountains, but have never experienced it. And we do have parts here of the Sierra Nevada that picked up 4 to 6 feet of snow in this area. So the snow situation in parts of the west, getting all the way to the upper Colorado Basin, this whole region and through here, looking very, very good this year. And that might be an important point to think about what the upcoming spring pattern is going to look like, and I'll share that with you again in a few moments. But I would like to show you where the snow currently sits on the ground. So this is snow water equivalent through Sunday morning. So what you're looking at here in the color coding, you can match it up with the color bar at the bottom, is how much liquid is there in the soil if you were to melt it all down. Okay, excuse me, in the snow if you were to melt it all down and get it into the soil. And overall, we'd have to say that there was this is a pretty good snowpack for this point in February. The tributaries that feed into the Missouri and the upper Mississippi look really good at this point. It has been, though, to the south of this area that we've really missed out on a lot of snow this year. So I'll let you know, the western U.S. snowpack right now, very, very healthy for this time of year. But if you look at other places, like look through parts of the Midwest, look into New England, and of course through the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, Virginia, we are in a major snow deficit this year. And it's not as though we haven't had moisture, it's just that it's been so mild we've been unable to get big snows in. Now, there's still March to go, right? And so we know that we can get March snow, and it would take one of those big nor'easters or a really sharp Miller B or a Miller A to come up like this. That's just the name or type of storm system we're talking about here to deliver the snow. But in order to get something like that to happen, we've got to see a complete reversal of what we've been seeing up to this point. All right, so again, this map shows you accumulated snowfall departure from normal so far this year through February 26th. And again, this starts on September 30th. Now, if we look at the precip side, total precip side, and compare it to average, you get this map. Now, that means that everywhere that you're in this shading here of white, getting into the blues, we've had adequate moisture for the last month. And that includes most of the Southeast, most of the Carolinas. It's been drier in New England, been drier in Florida. It's been drier throughout parts of Texas. And we're just now eating away at the drier conditions we've had for about a month now into the western United States. But I want to show you the impact of this. It may not look like much in this area, but I'm recording this on Sunday night. I'm trying to get them out to you early in the morning on Monday so that we can use these to plan better. So as I look at this on Sunday night, the sun was setting right there in the central plains of the United States. And there was a large severe weather outbreak that's happening in Oklahoma, parts of Texas, and possibly into Kansas as well. But before we look at the severe weather, because we got to ask if this is going to make its way across the country, I just want you to see the dust. This is all dust in through here. So just to kind of explain how deep this drought issue is, That is an incredibly large dust storm that's ripping across parts of western Texas. Now, they have dust storms there, but I've seen now, I think this is the 6th one I've seen since the beginning of the new year. All right, so just to make sure we understand how dry things have been there. Now, what has the pattern been doing? Since the breakdown of the pattern we saw from Christmas all the way to about the 17th of January, the pattern's favored a large ridge here that's dove into a trough over the four corner states and south. And this right here has been the feature to watch, that subtropical ridge. Systems have been running over the top of it. And it's been that subtropical ridge and its kind of semi-permanence that has, one, kept moisture flowing out of the Gulf and coming into these systems. And some of that, of course, has gotten to North Carolina. That's why we've seen our drought picture getting better and better. But it's also been the setup that's made things so very mild. So since the beginning of the year, up until February 26th, most of the state of North Carolina is easily having a top 10 warmest start to any year. It's not we haven't had cold air. It's just been so brief and not long-lived. And you can see that as you get up here farther to the north, those numbers are really in the small single digits. In fact, the Great Lakes right now are less than 6% ice covered, and that is record low. So we have to ask, this will be critical for the March forecast, does the subtropical ridge has been sitting in this vicinity for most of the last 30 to 40 days? Does it persist? Because if it does, the jet stream dips over the cold here, runs right up around over the top of that ridge. If that goes away and all of these pieces start to reshape and go in a different direction, we'll have an entirely different outlook for March. Okay, so let's get into it. Here's what the near term looks like. Now, you know these trough ridge maps are kind of key to figuring out what the whole pattern's going to do. And it gives us this better view to look down at the North Pole to kind of see how the teleconnections that are all in the high latitudes are working together. So let's do that. First of all, see this shortwave right here? This is the one that was initiating all of the severe weather on Sunday night, into the Central Plains. Watch this little guy go right through here. By Monday morning, when I wake up to write my next report, it'll be right over the top of my home here in Illinois, and we're worried about some severe weather early in the morning on Monday. Why did it go from here to here, though? It's all about that subtropical ridge, pushing it that way. So let's just go ahead and play through the week. This is going out into Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, to Thursday and Friday, and what do we see? We just keep seeing, as I rock back and forth, troughs in the west, ejecting in the central United States, and they just roll across like this. Now, what we're watching out for is a couple of things. Did you notice that by the 5th of March, the subtropical ridge moved here? And a big ridge of high pressure moved in there and here. Got some cross-polar ridging. In the past, when this occurs, especially if this ridge can bend its way down toward the Hudson Bay, we can get these troughs that right now are sitting over the west coast to start to migrate east and stay more east with time. So watch this with me. Okay, a lot of arrows I just drew here, but keep an eye on this. This is the 5th of March, going into the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Now, did you notice the cross-polar ridging is still there? The northern Pacific and the northern Atlantic are getting blocked up, but the southeast ridge still isn't gone. If we get out there past March 8th, this is now day 11, 12, and 13. We're out there March 10th, 11th, and 12th. Did you notice that? This blocking pattern has allowed the trough to move farther east as the ridge moved into this area. Now, it's kind of settled out of the pattern, but it was the precursor to getting some colder air coming in this direction. So I show you all of this to understand what the pattern's going to do and understand it's going to be active. That southeast ridge may, by the time we get into about March 9th or 10th, start to fade, letting colder air come in. And we need to talk about what that might mean for us in a little bit. Now, first of all, it's still Sunday night. Let's come back, okay? And the Storm Prediction Center, I just want to start getting you familiar with these maps again, okay? Because we're going to look at a lot of them this spring and summer. They've now increased this large area in Oklahoma for a moderate risk. And I am recording this just before the outbreak is getting to go here. Now, tomorrow morning, on Monday, it'll be here. And we have to ask, is it going to make it all the way to the East Coast? And in this case, it is not. But I want to show you this. The Storm Prediction Center not only does a 3-day outlook, but it does a day 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And by day 5, there's another system we're going to be watching. So this is getting all the way out there to Thursday and to Friday. And it's going to move here over the southeast on Friday into Saturday. And although right now they're saying it's too low potential to figure out what's going to happen on Saturday night and Sunday, I just want you to notice that coming out of the southern Mississippi River Valley toward us late this week, there is the potential for more severe weather. So this is going to be a very active week starting right now on Sunday night. Our all hazards weather map shows you the impact that this system's going to have. This is all high wind warning. There's tornado watch tucked in the middle here, and this is all wind advisory. This system's going to be very windy. There's a blizzard warning that stretches the length of the Sierra Nevada because, yes, there's another storm system ripping through there, and we're going to have to watch this system as it rolls through and what it could potentially do if it gets to us over here in the Carolinas. So let's do that. Now, I'm going to start this off on Sunday evening because this is what I was watching here. And these were the storms that were blowing up into parts of Kansas, southern Kansas, but Oklahoma into Texas, right in through here. Now, that low is going to curl up quickly and go over Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, where there's possibly going to be some ice on the northern side of that. And there's a lot of snow in that area. That's why they have the winter storm warning out for this region. But remember, every time we see a system lift, that means it's pulling toward the northeast rather than dig, which is to dive over us. The front just gets weakened. So by 5 o'clock on Monday, we're going to watch for that front to try to go over the Appalachian Mountains. But what do you notice? Scattered showers, maybe. This is Monday afternoon and evening, and not a whole lot out of that system. So that's the issue. That system is powerful, ripping through the Great Lakes, bringing snow to New England. But it's not one that delivers a lot of moisture to us here in North Carolina. But the next system is behind it, and by the time we get in the middle of the week, we need to see where this one's going to emerge. Because over the next 10 days, this is what we see. So this is a forecast of precipitation anomalies. We have systems coming down and then running through here. What are they going over? The southeast ridge. So you notice that right now the model is trying to split North Carolina, wet north, dry south, drier as you get into, again, South Carolina, and then down here fully into the southeast. But right in through this area, very, very wet. Now to see this next system go here, I'm going to take you out to the high-res European and GFS model. I was looking at it before I recorded, but here's what we've got. Let's pick this up Monday morning, 6 a.m. There's the system rolling through the eastern Great Lakes. Notice the models are not bringing heavy precipitation through us Monday night into Tuesday morning. So that system's out. We're drier through Wednesday. When is our next chance? Well, we're going to see this little weak wave on the nose of high pressure come through. This will be Thursday morning that could deliver some rain. The European, notice, is wetter. But it's a system that follows it I want to keep an eye on. This guy right here. This is Thursday night, getting here into Friday morning, Friday afternoon, and evening. Now you notice that that system comes down a bit farther. Whoops, let's try a different arrow here. Comes down a bit farther like this. And that's the one I want to watch. That would be late this week, possibly delivering more moisture to North Carolina. Okay? So what's happening beyond that? Quieter weekend next weekend, but the pattern, like I said, is going to open back up again. We're going to see more storm systems going into early that second week of March. So let's add it all up. We know that round one isn't much. That's what's left over after the severe weather outbreak comes through Oklahoma on Sunday night, possibly into Illinois, Indiana on Monday morning. But by the front getting over us Tuesday and Wednesday, not much. So we then have the moisture right there. This is now Wednesday night getting into Thursday morning. Let's rock back and forth just to get the timing of that. And now if we play for the last system, that one's the one that comes through late in the week right here. We end up going all the way out there to a 7-day forecast. And again, the northern part of North Carolina stands a better chance of being wetter, while the southern part stands a better chance of being drier. So we're looking here at just total precipitation out through the next 7 days. Now remember, what this pattern's doing after that is watch the southeast ridge. See it right there? So this is day 10, March 8th. And as we already saw, that colder air begins to establish itself in the middle part of North America. And the southeast ridge fades, all because of a big block here. So what does that do for us? Well, let's watch what it does to the temperatures. Monday's warm. Tuesday, look at this, very mild. As we get into Wednesday, another mild day. Going out there to Thursday and to Friday, cooler weather arrives for late in the week. That's when our best chance of the precipitation is. So we're very, very mild up until the very end of this week. Now, how long does that last? Well, if you watch this 5-day sliding window of temperature anomalies, I'm going to take you out there for the first, let's see, this would be March 2nd through March 7th. We're still mild overall. But notice the growing area of colder air that's setting up to the west. And what we're going to watch is after about March 10th for that colder air to begin to move its way toward the Carolinas. Did you see the loss of the subtropical ridge in the models? Now, just understand, this is still beyond 10 days from now. If for some reason that block doesn't set up over here, the ridge doesn't move over Greenland, this subtropical ridge flexes its muscles again and shows right back up. But not a whole lot of modeling agencies right now are expecting that. For example, if we look at the National Weather Service and their forecasting agency here, we've got the week 3, week 4 temperature outlook finally showing cooler for us. Now, as you can imagine, with troughs coming through, we're wetter too. But it's cooler mid-March. Okay, this is the 11th through the 24th. Same forecast is echoed by the ECMWF. We're going to look at the time period of March 5th through April 5th. And now you start to see some cooler risk coming in here. Now I'm just going to put a point in it again. In order for this to occur, this subtropical ridge has got to break down. It's going to be with us for a while. But after about the 8th, 9th, 10th, it looks like it's going to break down and let some colder air in. But with that, it'll be wetter. Could we finally be talking about an East Coast system? Sure. Could we be talking about snow in the Appalachian Mountains to make up deficits? Absolutely. But at this point, that's still more than 10 days away from us. Okay? Now, just as a reminder, we start to think about March into April as being a critical time period to get soil temperatures up and to get things going. And by the way, just so you're all aware, on our website, agweather.com, that's ag-wx.com, you can come in here. We do this all the time, right? I'll just pull out Raleigh again because it's just top of mind for me here. Remember, you can come in here when you get the forecast and slide down to the bottom and look at your 10-day soil conditions by the models. You see, it shows when the moisture's coming in here later this week, and it also shows those soil temperatures. So what we're looking for is when we can just stay above this 50-degree mark or even warmer than that. And we still got some colder air that's coming in that it's going to be difficult to overcome. So I also want to tell you about your typical last frost dates. Now this comes from NC State, great graphic here. And what I love about it is you can kind of hover over this and see when those last frost dates are. So, I just picked a random location here. The average last spring freeze date is on April 4th in this area. The farther west you go, the later those dates go. So April 15, the farther east you go, this is March 28th. So great thing to use here from NC State. Bigger picture things. This might be the most important thing I'm watching right now for your growing season. Now, remember, we looked at these just constantly for the last 3 years. And we almost always saw blues in between these two arrows and reds in between these, right? And that was the westerly winds coming out of the Indian Ocean and the easterlies coming out of the Pacific. Gone. That's all gone. And what we've got right now is the trade winds actually giving us these westerly wind bursts going back. And now this is going to start to continue to modify the temperatures here. We've already begun this warming trend. It's going to continue. And look at the warming trend that's been going on since late December here. This La Nina is out the door, and the long-range models continue to suggest that. We will be fully INSO-neutral for the next probably 5 to 6 months, and it may not be until late summer that we see the highest probability of going into El Nino really begins to show up. And there is a chance we could overshoot neutral and only spend 6-7 months there before going into an El Nino setup. This will be critical for the hurricane season. It'll be critical for the summer ridge placement. All things we will be talking about in the coming weeks and months, okay? Lastly, I do want to give you a quick update on South America. They're trying to finish up harvest in Mato Grosso, so a little bit drier conditions here, not a problem. The ongoing flooding issues that are right now in Mato Grosso do Sul, over to Paraná, Sao Paulo, parts of Goiás, down into Santa Catarina. This has just been plaguing crops in this area with too much rain. They're now getting too much that the harvest is being impacted. Unfortunately, though, parts of Argentina, after having a frost on the morning of the 18th, very limited frost damage here, but very cold air, they've now gone back over much drier and much hotter, which means we're going to continue to see major drought problems happening for Argentina. Lastly, I do want to just pull this out and show you a international picture of the temperatures, because I'm just asking the question, can we really get this colder air to move? The next 10 days, more of our days are mild, but this colder air, well, see the warmth here and see the warmth there? That's helping to displace the colder air into this part of North America, which means it could most certainly move toward us. So let's be prepared for some possibly cooler air come mid-March after about the, 7th, 8th, 9th of the month. That's when we could start to see it move through. So I'll wrap it up here. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next Monday. Thanks.